Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thank you, as always, for making your way here, for checking out the series. Please do hit that subscribe button while you're hanging around. I put out 3 new interviews every single week. It's a new one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So it's a great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover the new ones. You can grab us Spotify, Apple Podcast, NPR, WFPK.org, Consequence, YouTube for the video versions, or anywhere you get your podcast from, you can subscribe to Kyle Meredith with. And that's me, Kyle Meredith. Today, going to be talking with actress Natasha Rothwell. Now, she's starring in the new Hulu series called How to Die Alone. Reading here. She is a JFK airport employee who's never been in love and forgotten how to dream until an accidental brush with death catapults her on a journey to finally take flight. And start living by any means necessary. This is a really great series, just premiered on Hulu. We get to talk all about it, the inception, the incredible soundtrack, and Natasha is also starring in White Lotus, the third season. She was in the first season. She's back for season 3. She doesn't get to say a lot, but we do get to bring it up at least a little bit. So that's going to be in here as well. But let's jump into it and talk about How to Die Alone, out now on Hulu. It's Kyle Meredith with Natasha Rothwell.
Hi Kyle, how are you?
I'm well. It's such a pleasure to meet you. Let me tell you what I'm sure you're hearing all day today, but how much I enjoyed How to Die Alone. What a great story that you've told.
Thank you so much. That means everything.
Yeah. So I want to go for the big hook. I've heard you say this before, but this is a show you said that you wanted to explore the difference between loneliness and being alone. Why is that? And what did it mean for this story?
I mean, for me, I'm a child of the 80s, which means that rom-com was my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I think it was sort of a compass that led me down the path to think that the only way to satiate my loneliness or my being alone would be the finding a man would be the thing that would make me feel less alone. And the truth of the matter is, and this is a consequence of being in therapy, is that there's just the difference. And I think being preoccupied with romantic love prevents us from seeing platonic love and familial love and valuing it as much as we do romantic love. And I think that for a long time, I was blinded to the love that existed in my life because I was looking for something that the movies were telling me I needed. And it still remains something that I want in my life, but now my life feels much more full and more rich because I'm able to see all the love that's present. And I felt like that was a story worth telling.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? The just the weight that the movies that we grew up on, maybe even unintentionally. I mean, we you know how movies are made. You know how then it happens that it's this narrative suddenly that and you kind of get to flip that. I mean, that's it's a nice power to have.
I mean, inserting yourself into the narrative is not just the power I have. I feel like it's a power all of us have, and we don't tap into it nearly as much. And taking control of our own stories and being the hero of our own stories and not waiting for someone to save us, but saving ourselves. Because fundamentally, it's about agency, right? It's about knowing that we have the power to decide who we are and who we want to be. And I'm hoping the show reminds people of that.
Yeah. Now, is this? I remember reading at one point that you'd like 2018 that you were sort of pitching an idea that was developing that would be a starring role. Like, have you been working? Was that this one?
I've been working on this since 2016. Higher, Bob, higher. Yeah. It's been a long, long journey with this show, but I believed in it. And I think I was given every opportunity to give up and to walk away from it. But there was something in me that just knew that this would be life-changing for me. And I don't even mean professionally. I mean, it was going to be a healing thing for me to put this work on the page and have it see the light of day. And so that was really my preoccupation. And then I think as we broke story and got into the process of discovering what the show was in the writer's room, I realized how I guess universal those themes were. And I'm just so grateful that I didn't give up. And hopefully that tidbit of fact gives people the courage to keep going. But I think the show itself will also do a bit of that as well.
Yeah, I mean, it seriously The story is beautiful. The jokes per minute is sort of insane.
This is the thing. I think it was a Steven Spielberg quote that if you can make them if you can make them laugh, they'll trust you to cry.
Hmm.
And I think that's the beauty of levity and gravity. They complement each other, and I love having them both in the show. And uh, yeah, I wanted to make sure that people understood that like I the kind of drama and the things I want to explore, I can't help but look at it through a humorous lens because life is fucking bonkers, you know, and it's weird and it's worth um, having those moments where we can laugh out loud at just the ridiculousness of existence sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and the characters are so well developed, and the soundtrack. Speaking of bonkers, I mean, right out of the gates, like even that first episode, what did I write down? Nappy's in there, Sly, Band of Horses. You end up getting a Margarita song in later on. Here I Go Again, which might be the greatest
Whitesnake.
alone song of all time.
Whitesnake, man, give it up for Whitesnake. The hair bands of the 80s, and I'm like genre agnostic in terms of the music that I like, and that was so important to me in this show. Because like when I wanted the scene to dictate what song it needed and not be prescriptive about the music. And because my tastes are so varied, I was just really grateful to work along with Keir Lehman, who was our music supervisor. And when he realized that I was like a serious music head, he was just like so amped. And so we were exchanging playlists. I'm like, what about this song? What about that song? And he was just such a great partner in crime to achieve that dream of making it like acoustically as interesting as it is, you know, visually and on the page.
Yeah. The were the karaoke songs written into the scripts? Because I know we got Creep and we got Leave the Door Open.
Yes. I was on a karaoke league in New York
A
for some time.
karaoke league?
Yeah, that's a fun fact. That's a fun fact. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I love karaoke with a passion, and so I and it yeah, there was no way I was gonna write a show and not have it in there.
Are those representative of your karaoke songs?
My karaoke playlist is pretty extensive, Kyle. I'm not gonna tell you all the songs on it, but
Mhm.
you know, Creep might be on there. There might be some other ones that are in the show that are on my list. Maybe a hairband, maybe, I don't know, a Whitesnake, if you will.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I really enjoy it. It's cathartic. It's like it's an opportunity for people to feel like a rock star in their life. And when they don't feel like that on the everyday, it's even more cathartic. And so outside of it being a passion of mine, it just made sense in the story we were telling, fortunately.
Yeah. I did karaoke for the first time last year and just had a blast. Yeah.
For the first time
First
last
time.
year.
I've been in bands, I've sang on stage. I've never done
Okay.
karaoke until last year.
Here's what I will say. Actual singers hate karaoke. My friends who are actual like Broadway singers, they are just like, no, this is not fun for us. But for me, I am not a self-proclaimed like Broadway singer. I do it recreationally, not sober. So to me, it's just like a cathartic, fun release of energy. And every once in a while, I'll hit a right note. But yeah, so I get why it was your first time. That solved a puzzle for me.
Uh-huh. Well, I will say I began and ended the night with the same Prince song, so I felt like that was a success.
Raspberry Beret.
No, I'm sheepish to say it, but it was I'll say P Control.
Ooh.
Yeah, works really well
Okay.
in the care. Everybody gets to sing the chorus, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done.
Um, of course, I want to bring up the little bit of what else you're doing because of both things launching this and the new season of White Lotus, both deal with death and spirituality to a certain sense. I mean, what was that trip like for you in your head? Because it seems like you're able to kind of work through different things in the same job.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things I love about what I do for a living is to be able to try on different characters and roles and sometimes working on things back to back for sure. But I also think that there's a lot of overlap in the Venn diagram of Belinda and Melissa. I think they are working in service jobs where they often get overlooked and are seeking in some way. And I'm really excited for audiences to see the next season of White Lotus. Absolutely. There's zero I can say. I literally have been shaken down for information. incessantly, and there's literally nothing I can say except it is going to blow your socks off.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a treat to play characters that are typically marginalized, and we get to give them a voice. That's a part of my mission.
Yeah. And I know not to ask, any more about, but I'm always fascinated when anybody gets to return to a character that's not sort of in sequence, like you were in the last season.
Yeah.
So that's really, really interesting. This show is so good. The realism that you get to play with. I love seeing John Benjamin on there, and the testimonials as well is such an interesting way to start those. I'll wrap with that. I know it's my last question. Like, what inspired that part of it?
I had to fight for it. I think it's left of center, which is just my brand. And sometimes, you have to convince studios to be on board. But for me, I love documentary. I love real stories from real people. I think you begin to lean in when you realize what someone is saying is real and they're not an actor. And I think it also allows people to see Mel in context of the city of New York, that in all of the millions of people that walk around the city, each one has a story and a relationship to love and longing and being alone. And so we wanted to slow down and really visit with each of, those characters on the street. And it was amazing to get real New Yorkers to stop and talk about their thoughts and feelings in a real vulnerable way. And tying that into the themes of the episode was just a joy. And it's unconventional, but it wouldn't be a big Hattie production if it was. It wasn't.
And to tie that back to 80s rom-coms with Harry Met Sally and the testimonials from that, it kind of reminded me of that. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Um, Congratulations on this. I did enjoy it so much. And Natasha, seriously, it's been such a pleasure to talk to you.
Likewise. Thank you so much.
And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week, new one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All 3 of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.